I think you have many years of experience in AWS Cloud.
I have been in many areas of IT industry. I have been developer, I've been technical support, CTO, project manager, and last years I also have been DevOps. And it has been a blessed experience, a meaningful journey. So professionally, I have more than 20 years of experience. And specifically for the AWS Cloud, I have 9 years.
Maybe you can start by explaining what's DevOps.
You need to make sure that you can deliver value to your client in a fast and secure way.
So there's project management into this.
You develop, you deploy, you maintain, improve, and you operate it. You may find many philosophical concepts, terms, definitions about DevOps.
Explain to us this.
It takes some changes in the mindsets of the people.
When you was talking about scaling, I feel like that's what cloud computing is about.
Yeah, the computer or the container had to be stopped and created again with different settings. We connect people, we connect developers with the final customers, we connect salespeople to developers. As I said before, if you want to learn something, nobody can stop you. If you don't want, nobody can teach you. So
thanks AI.
Exactly. It's very funny because when they type something or when I need to.
It's your host, MiAKASSiSSA, and you already know. Today, it's a great day for all AWS lovers because today, that's what we are going to talk about with a special guest, a professional, an expert in AWS cloud computing. So, William, it's a blessing to have you here. How are you today?
Thank you so much for your invitation. It's an honor for me. I'm very happy. I'm very excited to be in your channel today.
So we have been planning this, last year, and then we are doing this on this start of the year, first quarter 2025. So it's still a blessing to have you. So where are you joining from right now?
Right now, I live in Chile, Santiago de Chile, and in the last 9 years, but I'm from Colombia.
Oh, okay, that's nice. So you don't have to cut the mic. You can leave the mic open. So that okay. You are, I think you have many years of experience in AWS Cloud. So today you are joining me for an agenda to talk about a project that you are building in the Republic of the Congo. But first, for the people that don't know you, maybe you can give them a little bit of context, talk about you, what you do, what's your story with AWS, and just what you do. Who are you, William?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is William Antonio Guzman Bernal. I am from Colombia. I believe in God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. I'm a Colombian IT professional. I graduated back in 2003. I have been in many areas of IT industry. I have been developer, I have been technical support, CTO, project manager, and last years I also have been DevOps, and more recently architecture, solutions architect. And as you mentioned before, I have worked with AWS Cloud the last 9 years, actually since I came here to Chile, and it has been a blessed experience, a meaningful journey. Many things have happened in the last 10 years, and I have been witnessing all these changes in first hand. So many experiences, many lessons, many things to repeat, many mistakes to avoid. And yeah, I'm happy to be here to discuss all of them.
Okay, so it's been how many years in tech and how many years into DevOps, in AWS DevOps? And also, what specific thing what do you do in the AWS cloud computing sphere? Are you SRE? Are you because it's a vast domain?
Yes. You're so right. I have as a simple user of computers, I have more than 30 years of experience. Professionally,
30 years.
30 years, yes. I started with computers when I was like 11 years old. Right now I'm 44. So I started to express, to play with them, to program them when I was like 12, 11 years old. Then I got into the university. I studied a professional career about it. It was computer sciences back in Colombia. And I graduated at the beginning of 2003. So professionally, I have more than 20 years of experience in overall IT industry. And specifically for the AWS Cloud, I have 9 years right now. I started
9 years.
9 years, yeah, a long time. And it was something. I think it was something from God, because I started with no previous experience in cloud computing in any of them, and I remember the first thing I had to do was like Wednesday, and my boss in that moment said that I had to create a cluster in Redshift where I had to load data from S3, and I had no experience. I had to do it during the weekend. So you can imagine how it was going back to study about that. And I started with as a developer, creating things. And I had to start from zero, understanding what is cloud computing, the many different aspects, as you mentioned. We have cloud compute, storage, data, streaming, all that. But I focused in that moment in developer experience. And then I had to go a bit further to how to organize and orchestrate all that. That's when I entered the DevOps field. And then I had to move to another area where I had to take the whole picture and see the system from a higher level, right? Not so focused or so detailed. So I had to architect the system. But I had the chance of remembering that, when you start developing and you understand the pain, the need, the success, the failures of the development area, when you go to the architect, you must take that into account. So it's like if they complement each other. Data, I also have emphasizing data, and all of that within the AWS environment. All of that, the last 9 years.
That's amazing. So we have a senior. We have a senior here. So guys, drop questions. All the questions that you have for William, drop in the comment. If he cannot respond today, he will respond another day for another interview. Well, he's a senior. We're talking about 30 years of experience in the IT space and 9 years specifically into DevOps. So what was the motivation? I didn't, maybe you explained this. I don't know. What was the motivation for you to move from the general IT to DevOps? What was the motivation?
In that moment, there were kind of projects that required the orchestration. We had developers, but we needed to automate. One of the fundamental pillars in the well-architected framework suggests you to automate as much as possible, because that way you avoid any human mistake, failure. As a human being, if you do something in a repetitive way, you start getting bored and you start committing mistakes. So that's why the projects say we need to orchestrate, automate this in some way. And then I got into the DevOps suite, DevOps services that offered us AWS. So it was like a smooth move from developer to.
Interesting. So orchestration, what did you use to orchestrate this? And maybe you can also take this occasion to explain to beginners who are following right now what's DevOps. We have done a good introduction to the topic. Now that you are talking about it very deeply, maybe you can start by explaining what's DevOps, and then we will get back to the orchestration part that you worked on that brought you into the DevOps world.
Okay. You may find many philosophical concepts or terms, definitions about DevOps, but in my own experience, I will say that it's when you, as developer, takes responsibility for the maintenance and operation of your own stuff. right? Because back then, the history of software was I develop something and I give it to the person who's going to support it and maintain it. But with DevOps culture, you need to assume that ownership. You need to make sure that whatever you develop is going to be properly maintained, used, and even upgraded or improved. That's the whole picture. You develop, you deploy, you maintain, improve, and you operate it. And obviously, there are many things, as I mentioned before, that allow you to automate some specific tasks. And those specific tasks require additional technologies, change your mind. And I suggest people who is starting in DevOps, specifically in AWS, maybe apply to other clouds, that when you're starting with a service, go to the console in a visual way. So you can understand, obviously read before about the service. If you want to make something of cloud compute, read what is cloud compute. Then go to the console and start checking all the features, all the configurations, settings, right? When you do that, try to repeat it with a template. Try to repeat it with a program or source code, right? And in that process, you will understand in more details, because as a user or as a developer, you can forget about some specific details. But as a DevOps, you need to make sure that everything's going to be created in a very automatic way, in a very smooth and secure, obviously secure way.
Okay. So to recap, you just say that DevOps is the way of automating deployment of software. Can we say that?
That as a summary, yeah, obviously it involves many things, because it's not only about the technologies. I have seen companies where DevOps culture is not the most proper way to do the things, right? Because it takes some changes in the mindsets of the people. You need to involve the client. You need probably to involve agile methodologies into the whole DevOps culture.
So the mindset of a DevOps is based on the agile. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, because when you are working as a DevOps, you need to make sure that you can deliver value to your client in a fast and secure way. So if you go with the waterfall previous methodology, right? When the developer went to a room, locked himself or herself, and went out weeks or months later, this is the problem. No, it doesn't work with DevOps. You need to have a constant communication with your client. You need to be deploying, you need to be fixing small cycles, fast, like sprints, and get in contact and working with the whole team. You can't be isolated as a DevOps.
So DevOps is a lot of things that you just said. You need to change your mindset. You need to be agile to the client's needs. You need to take a client-centric approach. You need to monitor for the security of all the things that you are doing, so that you are certain that the client is getting value very fast, is getting very functional set of features. So let's come back to containerization. You have this project, you needed to containerize. Can you explain what project was it, and how did you, because at this time, I suppose, you never heard about DevOps, and then you have to jump into it because of the project. Can you explain, because it's always, you always go into some kind of process, maybe with the fear of unknown, all that. Can you explain for the people, what was that experience like? You are a developer, and now you have a need to move to another concept. What was it like what would you like? What did you like the most about that experience? What did you hate, or what did you, if you have to redo it, what would you do differently? And what are the lessons? And also explain to us this concept of containerization. What was it like? What it is, and what tool did you use to make this happen? What was the end result of this containerization process?
Okay, I remember there was this project that at first it was a software that we could use from computers, on our own computers, right? We had to browse through some specific pages, gather information from there, and then take all that information, crawling, right? Crawling the websites, and take the data to load it into a database. So when you are a developer and you have no idea of containers, like I was there, it was always in my computer, it works, like the meme, right? But you need to understand that the need of security, right? The power you're using is going to be limited to your resources, to your hardware, your own hardware. And especially you cannot scale as much as possible because you're always going to be restricted to the money you have for a specific hardware or software. And it was one of the mandatory requirements that we had the ability, we had to provide our client the ability to scale. In some days of the month, the crawling had to be large. In some hours were not so high demanded. So we say, okay, what can we do? There's this thing called containers. What do we need? We need to think. We need to change again our mindset and assume that the software is going to be run in a computer that can be started and stopped at any time. You need to be programmed in a way that it cannot be restricted to specific, for example, IP addresses, networking, fixed routes. No, you have to be able to program your software. You have to change your software so it could work from different sources to different targets. And that was part of the changes we had to do as developers. We need to consider that at any moment, the computer or the container had to be stopped and created again with different settings. We had to isolate the logic, the data logic, the compute logic, decouple all of that. And we had to understand that there was going to be a higher level of management that will help us to create or launch or terminate different instances during the whole containerization process. So what I will do, if I could go back in time, is to think of the software as a single unit of processing that could end, that could have ephemeral storage, that also will need to be able to resume the process, right? And also part of a more distributed network. And that was the most important lesson I got from that experience. You can't think that the computer is always going to be running. It can be, like I said before, you can shut it or launch it again. You can't expect that all the process is going to be smooth, consistent, because many things may happen during that process. And you need to make sure that your program is going to be responsive for that, responsive in the way that it can start from a specific point or it can continue from another point. And it was a extreme experience. You can imagine the client always need the things for today or for yesterday. So we had to go through all the logic, all the software, and start to separate, to delegate responsibilities. This part is specific for data. This sort goes to network. This is going to help us to get information. And this is the real part that we are going to scale. We're going to be creating different computers to go to different websites, all of that. We also had to create a messaging method where they all communicate and say, okay, I got this job or this task, and I'm gonna finish it. Did you finish it? Yes. So take the task out of the queue. No, I wasn't able to finish it. So another computer or instance can take that and resume your work or finish it. Many things, but distributed thinking, decoupling architectures, developer in a different way. I think that's the most valuable lessons I got from the experience.
Interesting. So I've to me, one keyword. So there's project management into this. Project management skills, because you were talking about this task. So maybe Scrum you were using, or software like Agile. I don't know. What do you use? What did you use as a project management on the project management side of the things? Did you use like Jira, or how was it like?
Most of the times, the client already has their own platform, or they use their own accounts. You mentioned Jira, and they say, okay, we have these agile methodology ceremonies. We have the start of the sprint. We have the planning of the sprint. And Jira is one of the most common tools used because it allows you to integrate different sources. It allows you to upload documents, to organize your schedules and your calendars. It's one of them. Most of the time it works, especially here in South America, I have seen many times Jira, not the other alternatives. And yes, you need to understand what is doing who, when, what to expect. Like they say, the definition of ready to start a task, definition of done when you really completed that task. But that the experience gives you all those clues. You need to make sure that everyone involved in the project knows what to expect and what is other people expecting from that person.
That's very interesting. And one concept that hold me up is when you was talking about scaling. I feel like that's what cloud computing is about.
Yeah.
And all the other things like containerization, monitoring, security, or just like, I feel like those are just byproducts of scaling. Because like you say, you can have this in your computer on premises, but you are limited to your resources. Then to go at scale, to serve more people, or to adapt to the load, you need to go to the cloud so that you can scale up, scale down, and provide maximum availability to your users. What do you think about that?
Yeah, scale is one of the benefits you get from the cloud, only one. But you mentioned it perfectly. You can scale in, scale out, scale up, scale down, right? Like when we were talking a long time ago, I need to increase the memory. I need to increase the storage, right? Or no, I can't. I need to reduce it. That's the kind of things that the cloud allows you to do with some few clicks on a console or programming. But it's only one of the benefits. I think the other one, very important, is that it allows you to test, to make small tests, right? The client tells you, I saw this feature in another company, my competitor is doing this, and I want to try that. Can we do it? Yeah, sure. We mix, we combine the cloud compute, DevOps culture, and agile methodologies. You can tell us what special feature you want to try before deploying it to all your customers. You can select a group of customers, a beta clients of you, and we can see if it works correctly, if they like it or not. And in the worst scenario, if this doesn't work, you simply terminate the resources, but you don't get the resources in your on-premise environment, or you don't have to pay a lot of things upfront because you need to assume a huge initial investment. You can, with the cloud, you can start from zero. Let's try this. Oh, it didn't work, or yes, it did work. So let's deploy it to the production environment. It's what they call sometimes the sandbox environments. where you provide your business analysts, your machine learning engineers specific environment, so they can play with data, with their models, with all this stuff, and they say, yeah, it worked, no, it didn't work, so you kill or you terminate all that, and then at the end of the month, the consumption will be increased, but not all of that. So again, scaling is one of the benefits, that you can play safer and faster, that you can try new stuff, that you can pay on demand for some of the services. You don't need to pay or keep them up all the month, only for specific times or sets of rules. The other thing is that you can integrate more people in an organized way to your project. Always remembering that not having many people equals to productivity. There's a specific point where if you include more people, actually you're gonna be slowing down the project.
Yeah. So if I can recap for the audience, scaling is one big benefit. Testing is one big benefit, and also collaboration. It's one big benefit. And was it a fourth one?
Pay on demand. Some people say, okay, I just want to pay on demand. I want to pay for what I consume.
Pay per use. Okay.
Exactly. I don't use it, I don't pay it. I don't get charges of anything.
Is there a fifth that you give in the benefits of the cloud computing?
Yes, there's also a benefit that is not so visible to the clients. If the scale economy. Why? Because the cloud compute works for hundreds of millions of customers and users worldwide. So they give the cloud provider the ability to offer discounts. And you don't need to pay attention to refresh a page or to subscribe to something to get that specific discount. They apply it automatically. And somehow they suggest you to work with the most recent hardware or settings, because that is less expensive, right? So the scale economy is other benefit, because you're gonna be having discounts of many types, of many kinds during many services, and some of them you don't even realize because it's automatically applied.
Interesting. So basically, you became a DevOps on the job.
Yeah.
You were not unemployed. You did not became unemployed and then were searching for a DevOps job. You were on a job. The situation happened in the same business, and then you work on that project, and then you loved it, and then you stayed a DevOps for 9 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, kind of correct, because I started developer, DevOps professional, and I started to get involved in the project management areas, and that required that I learn architecture. So it was a mix of things. Thanks to God, it was the precise and perfect time where I had to learn many different skills. But I had both worlds, the technical, the management, and then I even had to talk to the salespeople. So I consider the software architects like a bridge. We are a bridge. We connect people. We connect developers with the final customers. We connect salespeople to developers. And I had the chance to see how internal sections of the customer, of the client, connect to each other. They didn't know they were working in similar projects, and as architects, we connect them, and they work together.
Interesting. Talk to us. Explain to us a bit, because many people don't understand maybe this aspect. Many people just think maybe DevOps is pushing buttons, doing technical stuff, and you are talking about bridging many business areas, being the bridge between clients, customers. Can you tell us more about this part of DevOps?
Okay, and there was another project we had. I'm thinking of this right now. We had to create a data lake, and the company had a data department specific for data, and they thought only data was responsible for the project. So they had development, DevOps area, they have data area, but we showed the client that as a DevOps culture, they needed to involve more people. Why? Because we were going to be working with data that could help other parts of the client, of the company, to make well-informed decisions, choices, right? So if you only think that you're developing and you're deploying, you're using pipelines to push your code to production environment, but you don't realize that your work is going to affect more parts of the company. We were talking about the data, but they also had the business analyst. They had their own BI tools. We have the salespeople that they need to check in dashboards the data, right? We had the management area, the C-level. They had to take into account other aspects of the same data. And at the end of the day, if you think broadly, it was only a person developing a software, pushing to a repository, starting a deployment, and finally making to the production. But at the same time, many people started to get interested in the project, participate in the agile meetings. They say, why are we doing this? What sources of data are we considering? Why don't we include these tables or these databases? I need to have this information. And again, the DevOps had to go the sources, had to talk to the developers or data engineers and say, we need to include this information. What can I do for you? We all had these meetings in a specific project. I participated as data architect. And we say, okay, we need to include more data sources. DevOps, what do you need? And he said, it was specifically a data ops, another variant of the ops area. And he said, I needed data engineers to provide me source codes for their data transformation software, right? Or data manipulation software. And the data ops or DevOps, you can mention more with their difference, but the DevOps included the software, the source code, and helped us to automate all the flow, all the deployment, the constant continuous integration, continuous deployment or delivery. From end to end, the DevOps helped us to make the data available to everyone in a secure way. Because once you start working as DevOps, you start including or you start submitting your work to the security standards of the company. For example, you cannot deploy to the production environment. You will only deploy to DevOps, to the development accounts, dev accounts. And from that point, you need to ask permission to deploy your artifacts to QA accounts. We need to have a quality assurance. And once the quality tests are passed, we can move them to the production environment. And look, we are all talking about the DevOps, the whole end-to-end testing, deployment, development. So the DevOps has a strong importance and impact on the code, on the project. We need to rely on that person to do that.
That's excellent. So that's one thing you are not mentioning enough. Monitoring. What do you think of monitoring?
Monitoring is
Is it
basic. It's the fundamental. When I start making an architecture, when I start designing an architecture, the first thing I include in my architecture, so I like to include, are the monitoring or governance services. For example, and I'm going to mention the AWS specific, I go to CloudWatch. It's the repository of metrics. It helps me to have a monitoring of the solution, right? And I also have notifications, because if you create an alarm, but nobody is notified about some events, you are doing nothing. So you complement metrics, notifications, security breaches, right? I need to know when something is going on, who did it, when. That observability or monitoring is extremely important. It's part of the security. When I include all the services at the bottom of the architecture, then I think what I need to include from right to left, because I like to think what I'm going to be delivering to the final customers. It makes no sense if I start from left to right, I like to go what I'm going to be providing as the final result, and then from right to left, what it takes to be developed, programmed, deployed, sustained from the source. Always right to left. And monitoring, as you mentioned, is a very important part of the security. You need to make sure, and cloud computing allows you to do that. You don't have to wait at the end of the day to realize that you had a security breach in the morning. If you program and you well architect your solution, you can know it at the exact moment, or even you can have a forecast alarm or notification of that.
That's amazing. So what I will retain from this is monitoring. It's a basic stuff in DevOps. You have to do it as basic. So you need to, when you are building whatever architecture you are building, you need to think of monitoring from day one.
Precisely.
That's what
they call it day zero.
Yeah, day zero, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you become a DevOps on the spot, and then describe us or tell us the story of you starting to get certified, get into certification, AWS certifications. You started on the spot, you became a DevOps, and how long did you took you from starting and the first certification, the other one, and why do you think, what's your take on certification from someone who has those, who has done the job? What do you think of certifications overall? Why do you think certification was important for you? Explain us the whole thing about certification in this AWS Cloud environment.
Okay, I think I had a funny start with certifications. Thanks to God, I made some of them, but I didn't start as a purpose. I didn't say I want to get certified. No, it was a requirement from the company. They said we need to have some people certified. William, I remember in that moment, you're gonna be the first person who is gonna be certifying. So tell us what you need. In Colombia, right, my first 30 years of life, I had no interest in certifications, not one. But when I came here and I started to work with the AWS Cloud, and this company said, you have to get certified. What do you need? Okay, let's go to the website, to the official source, and what is a certification? Some people say that, or think that certifications are the only way to prove your skills. No, that's not. You may have 10 certifications and know nothing. It's a mixed. You need to have certifications, but you need to have the practical and working and experience to provide, to support your certifications. So when I started studying for certification, the first one was the Developer Associate. I already had experience developing things, right? And I went to the official source, and they separate different domains, different areas of study. And they say the certification is primarily focused or aimed for these people, because there are many certifications. And I started with Developer Associate. I saw the official documentation. I realized of all the services I was missing and I had never tried before. So whenever there was an official question about this service, I had to stop. I went to the console and I started to read about the service. What is it for? What were the use cases? Why this service and not the other one? And if possible, if money allowed it, I launched or created things with a service, because the mistakes you commit in your real life are not compared to any book you read. And I appreciate and I respect the people who only read. It's good. But again, you need to have the background, the theory for the service, and the experience, the real life, the demand of the client, or pushing you to do something. You need to mix these two. So I first went to Developer Associate, and AWS Cloud has many different levels. At that moment, you had the associate level, and there was the developer associate. Then I wanted to move on to the professional level, and the correspondent certification was the DevOps professional. So I applied for that. What I did, again, read the official documentation, be aware of what the domains, the questions, the services that I had to know, if not master, for that certification. And thanks to God, I got that second certification. Then again, the company had to provide a specific number of cloud practitioner certifications. And if you see the sequence, developer side, then DevOps, but you have to go back to the cloud practitioner. And I went there. Mistake I committed, and I tell the audience to avoid it, is to not be aware that you need to renew your certifications. So the first two, I lost them. I didn't took the time. I was not responsible enough to renew, so I lost them. There was a moment when I only had the cloud practitioner, the basic one, the foundational. And then I studied for the solutions architect associate. Again, when I applied to that certification, I had experience of many projects. I have worked as a developer, as a DevOps. I had the experience of real life projects. And I applied and I studied for that certification. Thanks God, I got it. And then I moved on to the next level, solutions architect professional. Again, I had more experience. I had participated in more projects. And actually, some of the questions in the project, in the exam, were real life experiences. And I just had to remember what I did that in that moment. And well, at the end of the day, right now, I have 3 still valid certifications, the cloud practitioner for the foundational level, the solutions architect associate. I suggest the audience this. In that moment, you had to go from lower level to higher level. Right now, if you feel confident enough, you can go to higher level. But I suggest the audience start with the foundational, especially if you have not applied to any certification exam before. Go with the foundational because it will help you to understand what is a certification exam. It's very different if you take it online and you go to a facility. But again, fellows, start with the foundational. Start with the foundational. And then you can aim to different certifications. You can follow the path. There are many more. I wish I could have the golden jacket in my closet now, because the golden jacket is when you have all the certifications, right?
Wow.
But start.
Do they pay money for that? For that
No, actually, no.
Okay.
You need to pay with your phone.
Yeah, I was confused. Because YouTubers, when they get a certain level, they get also the gold, the
golden
the
jacket,
silver, gold, and then yeah, those things. Yeah, okay.
No,
Nice.
you can. By the end, there's some requirements, but the most important one is that you have all the valid certifications in that moment. And only in that moment you can talk to your partner, the AWS partner, or an AWS representative and say, hey, I want to apply for the golden jacket because I have all the certifications. And also for the audience, take into account that when you get a certification, they give you a 50% discount of the next certification. So you can do the math. And at first, you will have to pay for the full. But if you carefully plan your certification journey, you will be having a discount on every certification, on every level. So take that into account, my friends.
That's amazing. So to close this certification part or section, what I learned is certification is not everything if you cannot back it up. You need to develop skills. And in that way, the skillful person, the person who has developed real skills to build, to do things, is more valuable than someone with certifications that cannot prove hands-on skills.
Exactly.
And also, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, interruption. You asked if it was how important is to get a certification. Yes, it opened many doors. It opened many doors. Recruiters and HR people, staff are always looking and searching for certification, right? So if you have a certification, probably you may pass the first filter. You have a position for DevOps professional. So the HR or the recruiter will go to, for example, LinkedIn and will type DevOps professional certified. And if you're not in that results, you will be missing the first filter.
Yeah, okay. Certification is important for the marketing side of getting the job, the marketing side. But you still need to develop hard skills to back it up. So from what I've heard from you, yes, from what I heard from you, DevOps is not just hard skills. It's a lot of soft skills too.
Exactly.
So all of the DevOps, is this true for all of the DevOps, or is there specific titles in the DevOps ecosystem of jobs where they need less soft skills than the others? Or all of the DevOps, if you are a DevOps, you need to be balanced between hard skills and soft skills, because you need to do communication, as you said, communication needs to be clear. Every third parties need to be aware of what's going on. What's your take on this? Soft skills versus hard skills for DevOps?
I emphasize more that they are talking more about power skills instead of soft skills. And I will extend to all, not only the DevOps, but audience. If you're interested in the IT industry, in my 30 years of experience, 20 professionally, I can say that both type of skills are extremely important. You have to realize that you are only one part of a team. So again, as DevOps, you may be saying, no, I'm only going to develop something, I'm going to push, I'm going to create a repository, I'm going to orchestrate the pipelines. Yes, but you need to interact with other DevOps. Even if you're only isolating yourself from other roles, you say, I'm only the DevOps, you will need to talk to other DevOps. And if you don't know how to express yourself, how to communicate properly, you will be wasting your time and other people's time. So another suggestion for the audience is listen with your eyes. Why? Because I have seen in many meetings when you're talking to people that they don't look at you, or they start typing in the keyboards. If you need to take on notes, obviously you need to take some paper and write down your notes, but don't lose the contact, don't lose the communication. It's extremely, extremely important. And you need to, for example, the branch structures. How are we going to have, what is the branch methodology we're going to be using? No, we will have this, and from this we are going to be deploying to this. Or you need to have communication, a good communication. I have participated in projects where I live here in South America and the other person lives in India or lives in Europe or lives in the United States, in different time zones, different cultures, different languages. Okay, we all talk in English, but all this difference in a single point of communication. It was very funny. When I finished my day job, the other person started his or her day, and I had to communicate in a written way what I was doing, what was requested or needed for the next day. Communication is not everything, is most of the part in a software project, in my opinion.
So to close again about certifications, I will ask you, for the audience, if they ask you what's the best way, you already suggested some tips, like to start from the basics, from the start, from the fundamentals. But if they ask you, I want to get certified, whatever the certification, is there a process that you have used again and again, a framework or something like that, that they can apply, that can help them get certified in whatever certification, not just only DevOps, maybe cybersecurity also? Is there a process that if they do it, they cannot go wrong?
The first suggestion comes to my mind, maybe weird, but pay for the exam. Because when you pay for the exam, you're forcing yourself to a specific date. It's like when you say, oh, I want to certificate, and I want to certificate, and you move to the future, and it will never happen. But when you sit on your computer, you go to the official website, you say, I want a certificate in this, I want to pay, and I set the date, I save it, and I spend money on that, that will force you to carefully study for that. Once you do that, once you have the exam date already paid, you go to the website, download the official documentation. You have the skill builder platform. Many of the courses in there are for free. So with the documentation of any certification, you start reading, okay, this service, I don't know about this service. Go to skill builder, create a free account, search for that service. Some of them have the fundamental and the name of the service, or introduction, the name of the service, and go to that course. Also check if that specific service is included in the free tier. Some of them help you or allow you to try the service with no paying, right? You have to pay. If you want to create an AWS account, the first and only mandatory payment is $1, like a security check to create the account. We have the skill builder. We have the AWS Educate platform. It's another way to learn about that, to learn about services, and they also have a practical approach. Inside the AWS Skill Builder, there is a course called Cloud Quest for free, the foundational, and you can try because it lets you create and launch and generate real things, not only reading, not only watching videos, but they will assign you tasks and they will need to check that you actually did that. They will launch a laboratory environment for you. So set the date, pay for the exam, right? Select the official documentation, save it, start reading it, create an AWS Skill Builder account, and search for courses for the specific services. Cloud Quest is a game. Okay, the graphics are terrible, but the gameplay is extremely useful. AWS Educate is another platform, a very, very good platform. There are also SimuLearn, special courses that help you interact with kind of real people. And I think for now, these 6 services, obviously you can pay, platforms, there's this Udemy, QA, and many other platforms that you can acquire and pay for that. But I'm thinking of the free available options.
Oh, that's nice. So, in terms of companies, are you still working in the company that made you a DevOps, or
no? No, I'm right now. I'm about to enter another company, right? And this is a secret, yeah. And no, when I got the certifications, I was working in a AWS partner, another company, and then I moved to another company. In that transition, I completely changed my focus to architecture, and then I moved to another company, and I kept the architecture approach, focus, and role was a pre-sales solutions architect. And now I'm about to enter another company, another role that is also focused in AWS, and it's also focused on architecture and developers roles. So now to go back to your question, I'm not working any longer with that.
okay? That's nice. Have you ever worked with a company in the Silicon Valley?
Well, not directly in the Silicon Valley, right? But I have worked with large companies from US in their moments. I remember I worked with a person who is now in the Shark Tank Colombian version, the TV show. I worked with
Kevin O'Leary and Diamond John. Is that
the Colombian version? I'm not sure, but the person I worked back there was Alexander Torrenegra. So this guy is in the Shark Tank, the Colombian version. And I mentioned him because he had the philosophy, and I'm talking about 2006, 2007, he had the philosophy of Silicon Valley. And just imagine, back then, you go to an office where you have people, they are open, they are talking to each other. Actually, the interview with the person, with Alexander Torrenegra, was through a Skype call, where that was completely new to me. I even saw a person who was taking a nap in the morning. He was taking a nap in the middle of the office, and I asked, "Why is he doing it?" It was strange to me, and they said he already met his goals for the day, so he's taking a nap. I said, yeah. So the Silicon Valley philosophy of do your job, no micromanagement, feel free to explore, feel free to invent, to suggest, it was part of that company. And that was a positive shock in my mind. They also had an Xbox with a TV, and I said, in an office? Yes. If you feel stressed and you don't know how to solve a problem, take your time, go play something. They had fruits for free. They had beverage for free. All these things in Colombia, nobody knew about them. It was something that Torrenegra brought to the company.
You anticipated the question I wanted to ask is Silicon Valley, did you see any difference in philosophy? What did you like? What did you not like compared to maybe the other companies that you work in that you think they don't have the Silicon Valley mindset? I was coming to that, but you anticipated it. Continue.
Okay, yeah. The traditional office where you go to a desk, you sit, you program, you leave at the end of the day, and it teaches you things. It's a very good, important, and very positive experience too. But when you compare to an office where you can sit, but you can take some rest because you feel stressed, or you can say, I want to play, I want to talk to a friend, I want to propose something, I like to be heard and people listen to me. It's completely different. It's a huge change. And if you don't assimilate it properly, I saw people that got lost or didn't meet their goals or they were fired. And you have to change your mind. You have to focus. I have all these advantages, but I have these responsibilities. I need to assume them. I need to complete them. I need to help people. Again, communication. If I'm here coming to an office, there was no remote working. So in that specific experience, there was not remote working. So you had to talk to people, communicate, participate in meetings, provide your experience, your focus, all that. So the traditional office is more like a vertical hierarchy, where if you want to propose something, you need to pass many filters and you get voted. And probably your idea was good and it never got to the right person. The person who made the choice never listened to your idea because you had to pass many filters. And I was experiencing now that I remember remote working is another completely change of mind, probably from Silicon Valley, not sure. Actually, the first job I got as an engineer was remote working, and I'm telling you about 2003. So this technology, this internet speeds and features were not possible. But I got hired living in Colombia by a person who lived in France back there. It was a very interesting experience too.
Amazing. So to end with that part, Silicon Valley, you also noted the downside of it, that if you're not disciplined, you'll be lost.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, is it the way to go? Because maybe it's set up an environment for maximum productivity. Do you think that?
Yeah.
What are the benefits of that culture?
I think that it gives you value, because you say, I like to be in this company, I like to work in this company. How can I help this company not only to survive, but to beat the competitors, to be the highest or the best option in the market? How can I help the company I like to work to make it sustainable in the time? It's different if you work with a traditional office. Probably you get bored at the end of the day and you start working day by day, week by week, month by month, doing the same things. It may sound terrible, but you won't care if the company is working or not, if the company is good or not. But when you have the Silicon Valley concept, a point of view, you really want to make the company to survive.
Excellent, excellent. So before we go, I want you to describe the DevOps, a day in a DevOps, a day in a DevOps engineer, like a whole day. How does it look like? I want you to explain that. But before that, let us wrap up with the biggest or the main building blocks of the DevOps business, the DevOps job, the building blocks. You said we have monitoring, we have scalability, we have. How do you frame that? If someone tell you, I want to get an overview, what are the building blocks we should have to tell that this covers the whole DevOps process, the whole DevOps thing?
Okay. You mentioned some of them. It's extremely important, the source code, what you're finally programming, or the software artifacts that people in your project will give you to deploy or to sustain as a DevOps. You need to make sure that there are enough patterns or best practices in your company. If not, I suggest the audience to create their own best practices. For example, you won't come to me with a source code that has not passed enough tests. I won't deploy it because I know it will fail. So best practices is an item we may include in the framing. There are also the agile methodology is very connected to the DevOps culture, because DevOps is trying to quick respond fast, deliver fast to the market, go to the market in short term. You also will need to include the 12-factor methodology. I invite the audience to check that website where they have, as the name states, 12 different items to consider, and make sure that you have the repository, you have the configuration isolated from different things, right? What we mentioned before, try to think of scale, that whatever you're going to do may fail. What will happen if it fails? How can we respond to that failure and make the solution still works? Monitoring security, observability. You need to know who did what, when, and where at the most basic level. You need to make sure that you're logging all that information for auditing purposes, for your own audition, for other people. Make sure that all of the project knows what to do and what is expected them to do, right? I have seen projects where the DevOps is trying to do something, and at the end of the sprint, they say, no, that wasn't what we expected. So that's when the definition of ready and definition of done comes to play. We need to make sure that the DevOps knows what we expect from him or from her, and also provide the node input. If you ask the DevOps, we want you to create a pipeline, but you don't give me, for example, permissions to access to GitHub or Jenkins or code pipeline, so he's going to be stuck. And that's part of the definition of ready. You say, I can't start this task unless I have all these requirements. This is my input. For the output you are asking me, I need this input. What else can I think? You can go, I have only tried in the cloud compute environments, but you can also have DevOps out on-premises culture, right? You started way before cloud. And now that I mentioned, it's very important to realize that at the end of the day, you are solving need. Where if it's a software need, a financial, entertainment, educational, management need, you are solving need. Solving need for a person. Again, the communication is extremely important. We ignored the waterfall approach. That's come, you client, come to me, let's have a meeting, few minutes, and we will save days, if not hours, of wasted work.
Excellent. So what's based on your experience, on your 9 years or 30 years of experience, how do you describe the best day of a DevOps? The most successful day for a DevOps should look like.
Okay.
So that people who are listening, they will create images in the mind to project themselves to see what it is like. So take us into that trip. Let us dream.
A very interesting question. And let's suppose that I start my day. I sit on my computer. I received an email from a data engineer, and she sends me the source code for a specific task. Then I take the code, I read it, not carefully because it's not my responsibility, but I read it. I try to identify if it complies with the best practices suggested by the company or by myself. If I find any failure or missing configuration or missing documentation, I will raise my hand. But let's suppose that all the files, all the source code have a full documentation, they are valid, they already have been tested in their own machines. So I can take that and I can separate it and I can isolate the infrastructure from the code, and I can continue working with the pipelines specifically for infrastructure, the other one for programming, for software. I can have a repository fully working. I don't have any conflicts, or if I find a conflict, I can easily identify who did what and how can I fix. Probably if merge, I can keep on working my day. In the middle of the morning, I'm deploying the things to the QA environment, not production environment. I make a pull request, and I can say to the person responsible for that, okay, please approve this because it needs to go to the final stage. I can attend to meetings. The first meetings in the morning are probably daily stand-up meetings, 5 to 10 minutes, where each one of the members of the project says what I did yesterday, what I'm supposed to be doing today, if I have any blocks. These 3 questions answered in short meeting. During the afternoon, I can attend to our meetings. I'd like to think that as DevOps, we're constantly learning, so I can attend to webinars. I can create chapters. There was a company where we had a chapter where anyone proposed a topic in 30 minutes or 1 hour. They explained that topic and how could we use it for our own projects. And also I can mentor people. I can mentor new DevOps or data engineers or developers who want to learn about DevOps. And yeah, I think that that's like the perfect dream illusionary day where I have all I need for my work. I do it. I attend to meetings. I report to my people, to my project. I learn, and I also teach. If I can do all of that with no pressure, with no stress, with enough time, that will be the dream day.
Excellent. That was excellent. So, AI. Let's talk about AI. AI. What do you think about AI first in general and now in the DevOps field? How does AI is impacting or is shaping the DevOps job? Your perspective.
Well, AI is impacting everyone, and it's not happening only from 2 years. It has happened a long time ago. But I remember someone said if the artificial intelligence won't replace the engineer, it will replace the engineer who doesn't know how to work with artificial intelligence. So I have seen people who rely more on artificial intelligence, right? Because right now we have these code assistants. You're trying to write a code, you open up your IDE, and you start coding something, and the assistant will suggest you all of the code. So I think that we as human beings can take advantage of that, but we also need to remember the thinking, the planning phase. I have seen many people who sit on the job on their desks and start working, and they don't take a single page to write down the notes, to analyze what they need to do. And it may be full for some people or old school like I am, right? But this step is tremendous, is hugely important in my opinion. If you go to artificial intelligence and you don't know what you're doing, the artificial intelligence won't know either. So as DevOps, yes, you can leverage your work on that. Many assistants or many generative AI tools are available right now. But if you don't know what you're about to do, what you need to do, they will be just waste of time. You need to carefully understand that if you're going to be programming or developing or deploying something, yeah, I have the requirements, I have the conditions, I have the input, I know what is the output, then I will try to take advantage of the tools that artificial intelligence will provide me. But this first human-only step is extremely important. I have not seen yet an artificial intelligence tool that replaces, in that specific part, the human brain. You need to think. The fear of failure that we human beings have, the rush to complete something, the experience we have, right, is not replaceable by any tool. But we can use that experience, that fear, that knowledge as input for the artificial intelligence. Yes, we can do that. And from that point, exactly. For example, I know that I need to load data into a data lake. Okay, but I don't know all the relationships. So I can take a data artificial intelligence assistant and try to analyze with that support. Some things like human being I may be missing, but the whole point of taking the data source to put in here is a human instruction. I can help or I can use to get suggestions, insights. extremely powerful. I have seen insights from BI tools that you say, I had no idea what was happening with the data. But I needed to have the data, and I needed to make it available to artificial intelligence. Not only make available the data, but also your human experience, your human knowledge. It's like when you're writing a prompt, right? The more details you provide to the tool, any tool you use, the more details you have, the more context you give to the tool, the better answer you will get.
Prompt engineering.
Exactly. That's why we have this new career right now, prompt engineering. It's not the same like I say, okay, run me a Python code to load two variables. No, yeah, it may work. No, I have this data, which is related to this industry, and we have this mandatory, and we have this compliance, and now please write me a Python code that takes all this into account and prepare and clean or distribute the data in this target. It's different, and you could be using the same tool, but you human provided more details, more valid information to the artificial intelligence tool. So in return, you will get a better response.
Excellent. So what are your top AI tools as a DevOps yourself?
Okay, that right. Amazon Q. Amazon Q has something very interesting for visual code. The usual, I go to Gemini, ChatGPT, right, and Copilot as tools, and I have not tried the proprietary tools.
Yeah,
Things happen.
happens. Yes, as a DevOps, things happen.
Exactly.
Okay, so you were talking about the AI tool, the top AI tools that you use. You cited that you use the mainstream one,
Yeah, the
like
mainstream.
ChatGPT, and
Yeah, I have not used the proprietary versions or proprietary AI assistants from other companies, but I have worked with, for example, the Amazon Q, the service that they provide, especially for Amazon Q for QuickSight, helps you a lot of things. Bedrock, but probably Bedrock is not so DevOps only tool. It helps you to work with LLMs, but not the kind of tools that a DevOps will use on a daily basis.
excellent. That's excellent. So, what do you think? Did you assist the coming up of DeepSeek like a week ago? What do you think of that DeepSeek, and what do you think also of this thing like China versus USA war, AI war? What's your perspective on DeepSeek first, and also what do you think about taking the angle of a war between USA and of a cold war between USA and China in
Well, I think DeepSeek is an example. I'm probably maybe wrong, but it's an example of what you do when you don't have no resources or you are limited by other conditions. In South America, we don't have much access to many things as we would like to. So we have to do the best with what we can or what we have. And what I listened or read about DeepSeek is that they did that. They had these restrictions, these blocks coming from US, and they had to move on. They couldn't wait for things to fix. They couldn't wait for government agreements. They had to move on, and they did their best. And they did their best with low consumption and low amounts of budgets and money. And that's where probably the US tools or companies were in their comfortable zone, their comfort zone. They thought probably that they were gonna be in the top for a longer time, and in a matter of hours, they saw a huge loss of money in the stock market. Why? Because there was this other company that were able to do not only the same things, but even better and faster with much less resources. So the first thing is, yes, what you have to do when you don't have enough resources, just like that. And I'd like to think that we as consumers will be the benefit, will be the great winners of this war. But I also remember that they are companies. So right now, nobody can ensure me that they already have a hidden or secret agreement, right? I remember, and I said there was this graphics graphic cards companies fighting years ago, and I'm not going to mention them, but we always saw that two companies, makers of graphic cards, were the only companies, and we always thought that as consumers we will be winning because each of them launched new graphic cards. They had different prices, and we said, okay, yeah, we are gonna be winning with this. And it happens that they had a secret agreement. They had their secret business, right, among them. So they were never fighting each other. They were lying to us in this fight. So I'd like to think that US versus China will make us have more options, more cheaper options, more stronger options. But at the end of the day, you know that this is about money. It's about money, and this is about power. They forget about God. So at the end of the day, it's like you will do this publicly, and I will do this publicly. But who knows if in a private way we are doing something completely different. Let's see what happens with the market. They lost a lot of money, and also something when I don't know how to say this in English, but I'll try my best. When something extremely terrible, positive or negative is happening, try to look at the other things that are not getting enough attention from media, right? It's like a curtain that they show you to hide the most important thing. DeepSeek, yeah, DeepSeek caused a terrible impact in the US companies. What are they not showing to us? Maybe I'm being a little X-Files or conspiracy here. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I have seen that before. So I remember this fight between these graphic cards companies when everything come out, when it was exposed to public, we all felt so disappointed that we were being lied all the time. All the time. So yeah, I think, yeah, obviously, as consumers, we're going to have some benefits. Right now, you can go and use DeepSeek with Bedrock in Amazon. Yeah, and you can try your own stuff. If you don't want to go to cloud compute, I'm sure they have this option that you can make it running in your own computer. But let's see the long term. This race, this war is just starting. Let's see what happens next.
I like that. So, one of the last question, because we are 1 hour 30 already. One big last question: if you have to build, if you were to build a cloud for Latin America, like an alternative, a cheaper alternative to AWS, to big players like AWS, Azure, GCP, if you have to build a local cloud for Latin America, what do you think will be the challenges? And on what things would you think you should focus to provide cheaper services than AWS?
A very good question. I think one of the, if not obstacles, is that some places of South America have not a very good internet connectivity. So I will need to think of alternative ways to make my cloud available to them. Some countries are extremely low. Some others have no connection at all most of the time. The power consumption, right? Some countries are lacking of power consumption, and to make the facilities, to make all the physical installations available, I will need to have a strong, consistent, and reliable power, which I'm sure right now we don't have that in South America. Well, I have not been in every single country, but I read a lot and I see that we have problems. We have problems like that. And I will try to provide, right now, artificial intelligence is the trend. So all we want to learn, all we want to use. Companies are crazy about that, even if they don't fully understand it. So I will try to focus first on how to make artificial intelligence services available to small companies. I will try to focus on small companies, not even small and medium, no, small companies. In South America, many people are trying to launch their companies, their entrepreneurship. They are starting their family business. And I have seen many people, when you talk to them, they say, yeah, what you're telling me about the cloud is lovely, but I don't have enough resources yet. Probably later, I will have my participation in that. So I will go first to the small and medium businesses, especially the small businesses. And it will give me a broader range of clients. And it's like when someone says, you can sell very expensive few times, or you can sell cheap hundreds of times. And they try to create my own economy of scale economy, like we mentioned before. Try to focus on that. And I will need to realize that in South America, we have Spanish, right? Most of the companies talk Spanish, but we have this great area in power in the economic of Brazil. So I will need to consider Portuguese and Spanish at the same time. I will try to do that. I will try to provide all the services in both languages in a native way. I will also try to get public exposition of my cloud. I want to know the people know about my company, because I also have seen many companies that are making great things, but nobody knows about them. Mm-hmm. And it's like mouth to mouth, the mouth to mouth marketing. Yeah. Some people don't have the budgets to pay advertising in commercial, in TV, and radio, and internet, but they do have this circle of people who know about their services and products, and they talk to other people, and to other people they extend their networks. So I will try to attack that also. I'll try to make people know about my cloud and make sure that it's cheap, that it's reliable, it's secure. And please expand the word. Spread the word. Tell people that this is happening here in South America.
Mm. Excellent. One more question. This is for, because we are transitioning to end this conversation, we are transitioning to the AWS user group and all the initiative that you are building here in the Congo to enable young tech people to become DevOps engineers. And suppose they already applied the tips that you say. They have certification or they don't have certification. And also consider the fact that they are not in a position where you were, that you are in-house and then you have an opportunity, you become DevOps on the spot. Let's consider Africans. Most of them are themselves. What would they keep in mind from you on top of your many years of experience in this quest of looking for DevOps opportunity, maybe overseas, while staying here, remote positions, what would you be your best advice for people who don't have a clue, like someone who is watching, he doesn't have a clue that before watching this video, he didn't have a clue of what DevOps was, and after watching this, it might be interesting.
Yeah.
Interested. What would you tell to that person? And also consider also the person that already in the process but not yet there. What would you to do those profiles? What would you say to them? What would be your biggest advice that they should keep in mind while looking to be hired from Africa and get paid by US companies and maybe Europe?
Okay. No, I already have the best suggestion, and I'm sorry if I am including a very personal part of my life, but I can't help it, right? My best advice will be to do the things for God and not for themselves. Why? You audience, are gonna be facing a lot of challenges. People won't trust in you at first because you have no experience, you have no background, you are just starting to learn, right? Companies may not get to you because you're still working on your profile, right? But again, at first, and you say, I'm going to learn. There are many, many projects that you can build from zero to start learning. And these projects can go to public repositories. Companies do check that. Companies go and say, William is just starting, but look at all these things he is learning and he's creating. Companies also check the certifications. I am mentoring a lot of people, thanks to God, and I know that the money is an obstacle. So I say, first, let's learn. Don't get rushed or don't get worried for going to the companies. Let's work on your profile. Let's work on your skills and your experiences, and companies will come to you, not the opposite. So audience first, realize that it's gonna be hard. There's no easy way, but you're not alone. Again, that. Start selecting and be very focused on specific terms. The cloud is huge, it's very wide, and if you try to understand and master all of that, you're gonna be crazy. You're going crazy. For sure, there are at least 10 categories. So choose one. I chose data, for example. And you say, I'm gonna be mastering data. Let's check what basic projects I can start working with to learn about data. Again, I have free resources. Probably I'm not getting the certification. You should pay for that, but there are badges and they are for free. And companies also check that. So in the same way, in the same pace, you're creating your profile with badges, with courses. You're also creating your portfolio of projects. You're showing the companies that you are learning about this, that you are doing this. You can also contribute to open source projects. Show them that you are learning, constantly learning. Companies, and I have seen that, companies are forgetting about obsolete encyclopedias of people. Yeah? They don't care about people who are expert in and they don't communicate. As I said before, they are changing the soft skills term for power skills. So again, learn about how to work with people, how to communicate with people, and how to influence people. Last year, I had some webinars and I told them that, let's make this example, Glenn. If I told you not to think in a red square, what would you think first?
If I have to think,
if I asked you, do not think of a red square, what did you think first? Most of people will say, oh, I thought about the red square. Yeah, there are many studies, scientific studies, that say that the brain doesn't understand a negation. So change the way you talk to yourself also. It's different if the audience say,
it's also spiritual.
Yeah, your best potential and the best hardware you have is your brain. So if you are always saying, I will learn about DevOps, I will learn about DevOps, no, change. Say, I am learning DevOps. I am building DevOps. I am talking. I am creating my portfolio. I am strengthening my profile. Make the things happen in present, right now. And you can do it with no money expense. I know because I have friends in Congo, you know, the AWS group, right? And they have power outages. They have problems with power consumptions. They have problems with their internet connectivity. It's terrible. It happens also here in South America. But do not let that stop you from learning. If you want to learn, nothing can stop you. If you don't want to learn, nobody can teach you. Simple. And this is only up to you. With the help of God, you will be making great things, amazing things. And I know stories also that people who made those changes and they started to be considered from other places. So it's great and it's very beautiful to see. For example, I'm gonna humbly give my example. Talk to people. By talking to people, I was invited to a webinar, an online webinar from South Korea, Japan, Pakistan, Congo, Nigeria. All those. Talk to people. If you don't talk to people, people won't know about you either. And DevOps is great. DevOps is huge. DevOps is large. But DevOps is also something that you can learn. Software is great. And this morning I was giving a webinar about software, a little about that. And I explained that software is the result of a process. Many things, the software development life cycle, and you have many options to choose from. You can say, I want to emphasize on this, and I want to reinforce this, I want to learn this. There are many things to choose. So it will help you to be competitive in the market, the job. Actually, we all want to do that.
Yeah. So basically, it's not a get rich quick scheme, like maybe some people think. There's no such way as a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah, exactly.
So, nice. So AWS user group, tell us something about this. What's the story behind? And people can join. We have the QR code that will appear on the screen. So whoever wants to learn DevOps, whoever is interested in developing skills of a cloud engineer or DevOps engineer, you can join the AWS user group. You have the link in the description, and also you can scan this code QR to join the group, to be coached personally by a man whose name is William Antonio, who's a senior, who's a professional and expert with more than 20 years of experience in doing this. So this is no joke. If you want to learn, if you want to develop, if you want someone to take you by hand and teach you something about DevOps, about cloud, if you want to grow, join the AWS user group. Again, you have the link in the description, and you can also scan the code QR that might appear from time to time. So in your own words, because you are the founder of the AWS, you are the co-founder, with Mamadou. We did an interview before you with Mamadou. He's a co-founder. You are a co-founder. Both of you founded this. So I want to hear your perspective on this, and so also people are aware of what's behind, what it is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. You summarized it very well. It's a lovely opportunity for everyone to learn. And it started by communicating because Mamadou and I were chatting, texting each other with LinkedIn. And he thought that we could create we can have a space opportunity for people from Congo to learn about cloud compute. He has been there, he has friends in there, and he told me that there are many people, extremely smart, intelligent people who only need the opportunity to learn. And when we talked, we said, yes, we can go. What can we use, or what sources or what tools can AWS provides to us? And I had the experience of creating another user group here in South America, for the first one in Paraguay, and also a user group in Colombia. And I suggested that we could create this. What is a user group? It's a group of people who want to learn about AWS. There are many fields. We have extremely, really very smart people that are asking questions, and we are trying to solve them in the groups. We have a WhatsApp group for that. We also try to have meetings every month, but if there's something special, people can ask for free, right? I have this opportunity, I have this problem, I have this challenge. How has anyone experienced this? Has anyone worked with these services? I'm getting this error. And we are all trying to help each other, because at the end of the day is that we are people learning about AWS. We are going to be inviting people, experts from AWS, for specific topics. We created a survey because we want to know our audience, the members of our group, what do you want to learn? What do you want to emphasize? What do you want to be expert at? And they gave us strong suggestions. They gave us very interesting topics to talk, and we are going to invite people to talk about that. We also have the visibility of AWS. We have the support, the internal support of AWS. We are not working, we are not workers of AWS, right? This is a non-profit organization. This is something that we do because we want to. No one is paying for anything, no one is paying us. But we do have the support of AWS because they contact us, we have meetings with the person in charge of the whole region, and the person said, yeah, please tell us what you need. And we said, we need credits to play with the console, we need workshops, we need labs, we need people, and they said, we are gonna give you that. So the AWS user group of Brazzaville is a very important and beautiful way that we can talk to each other, learn from each other, expose our errors, our fears. Some people say, I am prepared for the certification. Does anyone have any tips or tools or guidance? That's open. That's open to do it. And the language primarily is French, obviously. So as a co-founder, as one of the co-founders, there are more people in there. They do talk French. They do use French as their primary language. So I try to translate. So
thanks, AI.
Exactly. It's very funny because when they type something or when I need to write something to Google, I then first go to Google Translator and I go back. And then, okay, but language is not an obstacle. We have AI.
That's why I am not scared to do this interview in English, because at this era, languages doesn't matter. Like we have people from Africa. In Africa, you have English-speaking countries. You have French-speaking countries. But for a long time, there were barriers. So even me from Congo, I don't know people. I don't know about people in Nigeria because they speak English. We have to stop that. Even in Africa, we have to stop that. We are at an era where this is irrelevant. So that's why, even if my audience is mainly French, but I want to be a pioneer in this. To me, there's no difference. If I do an interview in French, it's the same if I do in English. So the one person who knows English and French will listen. The one who just know English will listen to you. The one who doesn't listen to understand English will see the Mamadou, the interview I did with Mamadou. But I cannot hold to meet people because of their language. It's stupid at this era.
You're very right. Last year, I participated in a user group from Japan, and they had, look at this, and it was wonderful because I was talking in English and the platform had different translations. So when you enter the meetings, right, the webinars, you chose your language and there was a few seconds wait, but you got the conversation in your own language. I love that. So technology is for that. Technology is to help us. Technology is to support us. As I said before, if you want to learn something, nobody can stop you. If you don't want, nobody can teach you. So I have interacted, I have chat, I have talked to people from Congo, and I am every time I'm more willing to help because I see the will to learn. I see the need to learn, and I feel that South America, we are the same. We have obstacles to overcome. We have things that are expensive. We have technology that is still not so accessible to us, but we want to learn. If we want to learn, we can make it happen with the help of God.
Yeah. Excellent. So again, if you want to learn and build your skills and network with people, with like-minded people who want also to develop their skills or who are more advanced than you, so to help you, you join the AWS user group. You have the link in the description, or you can scan this code QR. So, William, like I said, it was a blessing to have you. I will have to thank you for your time. This was an amazing talk. For my opinion, this was an amazing talk, and I would like I would like us to do this again another time. Or I'm very open to this. It was amazing. I learned a lot from your 30 years of experience. It was like a master class to me. So I liked it. I really liked it. But we are almost 2 hours. We are humans. Maybe you need to do because you are a very busy person. So thank you again for coming. Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you for your invitation. It was a conversation with a friend. I didn't feel the 2 hours. It was a conversation with a friend. I love the questions you asked, and I love the conversation we had. I congratulate you because you are doing a lovely thing. Your effort is worth of many things. You are helping a lot of people to learn and to improve, and that is a really remarkable experience. That is something you can be completely proud of, and I feel very proud of being your friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, William. So for you that have followed or that have watched this interview, if I didn't ask a question that you wanted me to ask to William, drop it in the comment. Maybe one day he will come back. I will take note of all those questions. You might answer those. And if you like this conversation, this interview, click like, share, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more interviews with more people. Because I know William might suggest me some other guests that I can, because I want to invite people from overseas to talk about AI, to talk about all these maybe you have friends that you work in some companies that like to do what you just did with me, I am open for referrals, to have amazing talks in AI, in tech in general. So subscribe if you don't want to miss this, because I know, like I said, William will send me a list of 5 people that are my interview.
Of course.
Yes. So thank you again. So William, thank you, and see you next time for another show.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, all of the audience. Bye bye.
Okay.